Key point 1. A secret weapon against negative thoughts. Many Americans are actively seeking help regarding their mental health. In 2020, the Washington Post recorded that for every 100 American adults, 34 show symptoms of anxiety, depression, or both. Several influential surveys, like the World Happiness Report, show that unhappiness in the USA has recently increased. Studies have confirmed that nobody has anxiety and depression as immediate results of negative thoughts. However, these symptoms become prevalent when negative thoughts stick around. They seem to linger no matter how hard a person tries to get rid of them. Thoughts are neutral. We give them the power to elevate or agitate. A popular notion says we are a product of our thoughts. Although our mindset significantly impacts our behaviors and moods, no thought is part of us or should define us. Yet when we embrace negative thoughts for too long, they begin to affect how we think about ourselves, our world, and our relationships. One way to disempower your dysfunctional thoughts is by practicing cognitive diffusion, separating your thoughts from your person and not seeing them as true. Self-distancing is a practical way to engage in cognitive diffusion. Just take a step back and observe your thoughts like you are not the one having them. To further separate your thoughts from the weight they have on you, you've got to believe that just thinking about something doesn't make it a fact. You will discover that it's not the presence of your thoughts you need to change, but how you view them. This summary reveals the impact mental traps have on our minds, emotions, and behaviors, and how to let go of them. If you are ready to harness proven methods to amplify positivity, nurture self-worth, and achieve your aspirations that seemed out of reach, let's get started. Key point 2. Tools to harness your inner dialogue. Negative thoughts can be harmless if we don't permit them to remain. Inviting your thoughts to stick around can easily lead to low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and hopelessness. When you're caught up in valuing these pessimistic thoughts or questioning their accuracy, their grip strengthens. The key to breaking this cycle is embracing mindfulness. This practice encourages you to confront experiences with wonder, compassion, and an open perspective, instead of mentally detaching or escaping. If your fantasy draws worrying images, picture them as photos or a film still. Some ways you can use mindfulness to dismiss negative and anxious thoughts that don't deserve your attention are: acknowledge the thoughts like a non-judgmental observer. Label the thought. Remind yourself that there is room for the thought, and it will pass on its own. Ground yourself in the present and try to relax. Visualize the thought moving away. Visualizing your negative thoughts passing helps distance yourself from them. Some techniques you can use to achieve this are: metaphors. You can imagine yourself as a bus driver where passengers, your thoughts, get on and off the bus. Although some might decide to stay longer than others, all will eventually leave the bus. Visuals. Try to create a mental picture of your negative thoughts and envision them disappearing. See them losing strength gradually as you separate from them. Sound. Hearing your negative thoughts by making them sound musical, translating them into a different language, or saying them in a silly voice will ease the tension they cause. The more specifically you can envision your worries in material form, the better you can understand them as separate from you. Andrea Bonior, Ph.D. Key point 3. The nuts and bolts of letting go. We often find ourselves carrying a mental weight that slows us down and sabotages our progress in life. One major burden is our persistent internal debates with our thoughts. Imagine the relief of freeing yourself from this battle when it becomes overpowering. But consider this. What if you chose not to enter the fight at all? This is called dropping the rope in ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, and means deliberately letting go of negative thoughts instead of engaging them. There's a temptation to think that worrying about negative thoughts is the right thing to do in each situation. However, worrying does more harm than good. Additionally, erase the notion that letting go of negative thoughts is synonymous with living in denial. When exercising letting go, you create a new brain pathway that dismisses negative thoughts automatically. Learn to determine which thoughts are worth your time and let go of the dysfunctional and catastrophic ones, seeing them as something that will pass away. Some common burdens you need to let go of include past mistakes, goals that no longer suit you, your past vision of your future self, and how things should be. If you notice that certain negative thoughts keep coming back and seem insurmountable, you can try the following. Get a piece of paper and write down your thoughts exactly how they come to your mind. Fold the paper and keep it somewhere to be dealt with later. Carve out a set time for worrying, ensuring you nudge negative thoughts aside until then. Try to do something different with your time, like changing rooms, listening to music, or doing something that makes you laugh. Did you know? According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the percentage of American adults with anxiety or a depressive disorder increased from 36.4% to 41.5% between August 2020 and February 2021.
Congratulations, you've hit a daily streak.
Key point 4. The truth about emotions. The most common way people react to negative thoughts is through feelings. It's not advisable to run away from your emotions because there might be something underneath them that's worth examining. By distracting from negative emotions, you let them affect your peripheral nervous system. Running from your feelings only makes you afraid of them and will deprive you of the opportunity to learn specific lessons. Additionally, you will become unskilled in handling your emotions and turn to this coping mechanism anytime you experience negative feelings. To have a better handle on your feelings, you need to accept the following truths. You have a right to each of your feelings. Emotions are not bad in themselves. Having a feeling is not synonymous with acting on it. Emotions often subside when you understand their root causes instead of oppressing them. You disempower your uncomfortable feelings when you decide to lean into them. It proves that you can make progress no matter what's happening. Taking time to anticipate and make room for negative emotions makes you stronger and better prepared for them and reminds you that they will pass. It takes a lot of practice to own your feelings and not avoid them. The first thing to do is focus on the here and now. Then gently observe your thoughts about your negative emotions. Afterward, quietly identify those thoughts as temporary, labeling them and acknowledging that they are unhelpful or inaccurate. Then go back to the negative emotion, imagine it, and visualize how you can open yourself up to be big enough for it. It's also crucial to reflect on the message your challenging emotion conveys. Consider what its intent is and why it is present. This strategy will guide you toward actions that are healthier and more helpful. Key point 5. Pleasure versus purpose. Happiness can manifest in two ways: hedonic and eudaimonic happiness. Hedonic happiness centers on immediate pleasures, gratification, and comfort. On the other hand, eudaimonic happiness focuses on the journey of self-discovery, aligning with personal goals and embracing challenges. Eudaimonic happiness involves connecting to something greater than yourself. True happiness is about living purposefully in a way that benefits you and those around you. Achieving genuine contentment demands a balance of hedonic satisfaction with the depth of eudaimonic joy. That's because if pleasure is all you tie your happiness to, you might end up not being happy at all. Such fleeting delights resemble wandering without direction, making people lose the excitement of achieving rewards and coping with hurdles. Finding meaning involves challenging yourself and growing along the way. Andrea Bonior, Ph.D. The best way to prioritize eudaimonic happiness is by living a purposeful life. Observe the activities, experiences, goals, and relationships that resonate with you most deeply. If you're uncertain about what might offer you a direction, pondering these questions might guide you. How would you spend a week with no obligations? How would you want others to sum up your life someday? What are you the most willing to put effort into? Who comes to mind when you hear the word love? What activities put you in a flow? However, there are some days that you won't feel fully connected with your sense of purpose, but you can focus on your values. For instance, fighting for people's rights can be your goal. It involves values such as showing compassion, helping others, and focusing on justice, which you can manifest daily. Key point 6. Pillars of your serenity. Most people's notions of gratitude and forgiveness are false. They equal gratitude with oppressing their anger or think forgiveness involves ignoring the pain caused by others. But gratitude isn't forcing yourself to be happy when something bad happens. It's being willing to understand that you can still enjoy certain things, like good weather, despite the situation. As gratitude isn't synonymous with ignoring pain, forgiveness is not about closing your eyes to what was done or allowing people to pressure you into being at peace with the offender. Forgiving others doesn't automatically mean you have to continue to be friends with them, and it doesn't mean not seeing justice served. It rests on freeing yourself from bitterness, which doesn't allow the scars of past insults to heal. Forgiving gives you control of the situation and freedom from pain. Embracing gratitude and forgiveness paves the way for inner serenity and rescues you from the futile endeavor of reshaping uncontrollable circumstances. Showing yourself empathy and forgiveness is helpful for your goals and mental health. Empathy dives deeper than mere understanding. It's about immersing yourself in others' emotions and viewpoints. Empathetic people tend to have good relationships with others and embrace forgiveness. That's because finding liberation from resentment often means recognizing others' hardships without justifying their hurtful actions. It brings us to a point where we need to talk about self-forgiveness. Most people prefer to blame themselves rather than face their fears. Refusing to embrace self-forgiveness can make you build a wall that separates you from others so that you can hide behind your pain and the need to punish yourself. Try to look at the situation, even if you were the one who harmed someone else, and then derive meaning from it. Finally, being good to others can help you forgive yourself because it can make you cheerful and believe you have something good to offer. Remember, apologizing is also an old but reliable solution to avoid pangs of conscience. Conclusion: working on yourself is a lifelong opportunity, so you need to embrace the progress you've made. Most of us have allowed many mental traps, including negative thoughts and a false understanding of gratitude, to dictate the coordinates of our lives. Learning to let go of these traps can lead to tremendous growth. You will never get to the point where negative thoughts will completely disappear. But by acknowledging, labeling, and letting them pass away, you will be able to improve your mental health. When dealing with negative emotions, don't run away from them. Carefully observe them to identify the lessons you can learn. Most of the time, our feelings are rooted in many things that might lead to growth if we can take a moment to examine them. You will discover you can manage that feeling if it shows up again. There are times when your negative thoughts and emotions translate into physical sensations. For instance, you can experience a tight jaw, hot chest, and a pounding head when you're angry. But just as our thoughts do not define us likewise, we shouldn't allow our physical sensations to either. Although observing them does not make them go away, it does not mean you should ignore them. What value you give to them plays a bigger role than the sensations themselves. You must learn to reinterpret and reframe your physical experience in a less catastrophic and non-judgmental way. Try this. Write down your definition of happiness. Check if what you wrote brings pleasure or has a sense of purpose attached. Then sit back and relax. Meditate on how you want your life to be summed up. Then, write the thoughts down and put measures in place to pursue them.